Hi, my name is Lisa All, and this is my Communications 101 Persuasive speech on the problem of senior poverty in America. And this is my audience of 9.
I'm unique.
Their numbers are growing at an alarming rate, and if you aren't careful, you could become one of them. What was once an issue for only hundreds of thousands is now a struggle for millions. The odds are likely that you know at least one of them, and at this rate, their numbers are growing. At the rate their numbers are growing, you will even become one of them. Do these statements alarm you? They should. Today, millions of American senior citizens have to choose between eating, having electricity, or buying life-saving medications. With a rapidly growing number of seniors living in poverty, it is time to strengthen the already existing safety net of supplemental security income and create more senior assistance programs. My claims are supported by multiple sources. For example, I have pulled data and statistics provided by the National Census Bureau, as well as other credible sources. We all know at least one senior citizen, be it a parent, a grandparent, or a neighbor. If you want to make a difference in their lives, then this speech is valuable to you, as it will show you ways to ensure that they get the help they so desperately need and deserve. To support my claim, I will show you proof of a rapidly growing senior poverty problem in our society and give you information on how you can join the fight to end this terrifying trend. Let's begin by discussing the growth and statistics of American seniors who are living in poverty in our country currently. For the growing number of seniors living in poverty who have no way of increasing their income through employment in a highly inflated economy, they have become the forgotten of our society. In an article on elderly poverty in 2008, Alexandria Cawthorn said, "The nation's health and social services resources will face unprecedented demand as 75 million people in the baby boomer generation reach retirement age, some with eroded savings and retirement accounts." What is even worse than the numbers displayed in the article is that we had better measures of poverty, Cawthorn says we would find the elderly poverty rate is considerably higher than the numbers that I just suggested. Today we are watching this prediction unfold right in front of our eyes. Due to our government's non-action in response to the rise in the senior population and in adjusting the safety net to adequately keep up with the cost of living, we have too many starving and dying. Currently, the National Council on Aging reports that 21% of married Social Security recipients and 43% of single recipients, 65 and above, depend on Social Security for 90% of their income. That's 90%. The NCOA goes on to report that more accurate measures of economic well-being, including Elder Economic Security Standard Index and the Institute of Assets and Social Policies Senior Financial Stability Index, show millions of older adults struggling to meet their monthly expenses. Even though they are not considered poor because they live above the federal poverty level, the numbers in the federal poverty level will show you differently. The updated federal poverty level for 2019 is $12,140 of income annually for a single individual, with an increase of only $4,320 for an additional person. The 2.1 million older adults on supplemental security income receive on average just $435 a month. That's not enough money to live on, right? Believe it or not, these numbers are not accurately reflecting what is believed to be a much higher number of seniors living in poverty. We can see that this problem has gotten seriously out of hand. There are many alarming circumstances around this problem. The growing issue of poverty among seniors contributes to malnutrition, severity of illness, and even death. Nearly 1 in 6 seniors in America faces the threat of hunger and malnutrition. That's around 8 million total. 1/3 of all seniors report trimming the size of their meals, skipping meals, skipping meals completely, or buying less nutritious foods because they don't have enough money for a proper meal. And the rates of hunger among older adults increased by 65% from 2017 to 2014. Because of the rising cost in healthcare, seniors struggle to get medications that are life-sustaining. Juliet Kubonsky has said that of all seniors, these who live in poverty are twice as likely to suffer the multiple health issues that I've suggested. Kubonsky also says that ultimately, poor nutrition and inability to pay for necessary medications makes the death rate in seniors who live in poverty much higher than those who don't as well. While you may feel this is inconsequential to you due to your youth, I'm just going to mention I got a lot in my group that aren't so youthful, so I'm sure it's pretty important to you. Think of the millions of seniors who are currently struggling with poverty and how the predicted growth in numbers spells out the likelihood of the issue becoming yours when you reach old age. If you want to end the rapidly growing issue of seniors who live in destitution, you need to act now. While the issue is already out of hand, it is not beyond hope. There are still things that we can do to reverse and correct this issue completely. The most effective ways of correcting the problem include strengthening the existing safety net of the Supplemental Security Income Program, increase the availability of health care assistance programs, push for federal support of programs to aid seniors, and reauthorize the Older Americans Act. By becoming a voice in the crisis and voting in legislation that brings out the changes I've mentioned, we could and would ensure that all seniors live healthy and secure lives. First, we should all discuss this issue with everyone that we know, or anyone you come in contact with. Make your friends and family aware of the crisis seniors are facing. An example, give them the statistics that you learned today. Make sure that you don't just quote a bunch of numbers, but also discuss how poverty affects senior citizens' lives. Second, put yourself in the fight. Contact your local senior outreach assistance program. Volunteer to help feed seniors in your community, or get them to their doctor's appointments, because many don't drive and are unable to do these things for themselves. Finally, it's imperative that we all educate ourselves. on elder legislation and that we vote. Senior centers have the information you would need on how to legislate these changes through petitions and key voting measures that may be coming up that you're not aware of. Tell everyone you know where to sign these petitions and what measures are going to be on the ballot so we can get grassroots efforts started. With just these 3 easy steps that anybody could do, we can bring about the changes needed to ensure that no senior ever lives in poverty again. Seniors will receive the necessary means to survive. Seniors will never have to choose between food or life-saving medications. And lastly, having been the forgotten for so long, seniors will know that they matter in our nation. These 3 steps are easy. All that is required is a small amount of your time and concern. The personal rewards in doing the right thing will pay off now and later when it's your turn to depend on these resources. Some of you may argue that the cost of the programs to the taxpayer is too much, that we already pay so many taxes. But I want you to consider something. With all of the taxes that we pay in this country, this is the one tax of the very few that come back to you on a personal level. In a country where employee retirement options have become almost non-existent, there are only resources, these are the only resources you will have when you leave the workforce. So as you can see, this epidemic of senior poverty is getting out of hand. But the solutions I've mentioned would be quite easy to undertake. Can you imagine a world where you don't have to worry about anyone's grandparents going hungry or being unnecessarily sick? Imagine living in a country where senior poverty is non-existent. When you reach retirement age, your biggest issue might be deciding, whether you want to purchase new flowers to plant in your garden or take your grandchildren to get some ice cream, rather than worrying about how you'll buy food for the next week. You can enjoy barbecuing with your neighbors that evening. Now imagine having to decide whether the last $25 you have in your pocket could buy you food for the next 2 weeks or pay for a life-saving medication you need. You will either go hungry or risk becoming seriously ill based on the decision that you're about to make. You think of all the money that was pulled out of every paycheck you earned over the last 50 years and wonder why the safety net you paid into for so long has left you so poverty-stricken. Consider these 2 possible futures for your old age and tell me which one do you want to live. I think we both already know the answer to that one. The fate of American seniors is up to us. To close, our elderly do not have to live in poverty. While today, millions of senior citizens are impoverished and are unsure where their next meal will come from, how they will pay their bills or cover medical expenses, there's still hope. By becoming involved with our local senior outreach centers, by petitioning for a legislature that gives timely and appropriate supplemental security cost of living increases, and by voting in ballot measures that create more programs that assist the elderly, we can fix a broken system and end senior poverty. It is time for all of us to create security for the most treasured segment of our population. Our elderly are our mothers, they're our fathers, they're our grandmothers and our grandfathers. They are our root in our history. It's time that we let them know that they are not forgotten and that they are valid. Thank you.